What's going on, everybody? This is my Madam Web review. Now, first, before I get into my review, I just want to talk about how superhero movies have become like a thing people hate now. Like a thing that it's a trend now. You go on social media and you bash the film before it even comes out, or before people even seen it. Really, a lot of people just go on there and just bash it, and you have your opinions on the movie, on the superhero genre, whatever. But I don't like this trend where people just go online and just bash the movie and to hate on it for no reason. Um, Especially if you're already going with that mindset that, oh, this movie's gonna suck because it has Sony on it, and it's because it's a superhero movie. You know, I don't, I don't feel like that's necessary. And this movie especially, it got a lot of like unwanted hate and criticism. Is it a perfect movie? No. But is it as bad and horrible that people say it is? It shouldn't have gotten as much hate as it should have, let me tell you. And I noticed this, it started last year, with the DC movies, like all of them, they got unnecessary hate from it. I feel like these people that were hating on it, they just wanted to hate on DCU. Um, they wanted to hate on like superhero movies in general. Especially like female superhero movies like the Marvels. It wasn't a bad movie. Like, it shouldn't have got as much hate as it gotten. I feel like it was wanted because it was female superhero movie. And it was Marvel, and people want to hate on superhero films now because it's a thing to do. If you don't like superhero films, that's fine, but don't go on social media and follow the trend of hating on the film just because it's cool now, or just because it has a female lead in it, or just because Sony made it and DC made it, so automatically it's gonna suck. Um, like I said, you already go in with a predetermined judgment of the film, and I don't think that's right. I just want to throw that out there first, and let me get into my review now. So Madam Web, it's a B-list superhero, right? Like most of you, I learned from Madam Web from watching the '90s not super, the '90s Spider-Man cartoon. She was played by Stan Lee's wife. She was an older woman in that um, movie, or cartoon rather, and you know, she's not your A plus superhero. She's not Spider-Man. She's not Captain America. She's not Iron Man. She's not the Hulk. So you're not gonna sell it like the character. So you're gonna make a Madam Web movie. I thought it was interesting that Sony was gonna do a Madam Web movie. Then once they cast Dakota Johnson, I'm a fan of Dakota Johnson. She's one of my celebrity crushes. I like the stuff that she does. So when they cast Dakota Johnson, I was like, all right, Sony's got my attention. I want to see where they take this. Um, they cast much younger actress to play Madam Web. Like I said in the cartoon, she was an older woman, and in the comics as well, I think she was like older. So I was interested to see how Sony was gonna play Madam Web. Um, and they round out the whole cast, and they got the three Spider Women. Um, and we got some really good up and coming young actresses that can really sell a film. So I was like, all right, let's see how the movie goes. And the movie started off, it reminded me a lot of a mid 2000s superhero film, which is kind of ironic because the movie's set in 2003. And so if you remember those mid 2000s superhero films like Daredevil, Catwoman, uh, you know, Elektra, remember that one with Jennifer Gardner? They didn't do a Daredevil 2, they did an Elektra spin-off movie. If you remember that movie. So it reminded me of those mid 2000s superhero films. And I don't know if that was intentional because it's placed in '03, but that's what it reminded me of. And it's a little, I mean, it's a little, like it plays okay now, and it's 2024, and it plays okay now. Like back then, if this movie came out in 2003, like what it was set in, it would have probably gotten a little more like, oh well, it's cool because we've never seen anything like that before, But now that we've gotten so much superhero movies and content, like a movie like this, it doesn't really play well in 2024. Like you really have to like change things up and go all out with it. You know, you can't give us this kind of superhero film in 2024. And I think that's probably what the biggest, mislead um, of this movie was. But I appreciated taking a chance. And as far as like the storyline, it's pretty simple. Dakota Johnson's Madam Web can see the future, and the villain, he can see his future, and it's the three Spider Women killing him. So he goes after them to try to kill him first. Very much like a Terminator-esque type of film. And I feel like they should have played more into a Terminator-esque type of film, and it would have been, I think it would have been more well received, and had a better flow to it. Because Dakota Johnson, she did fine as the lead, the lead hero in this movie. It was her movie, Madam Web, and she carried the movie. She did good. But what she wasn't given a whole lot. I feel like they could have gave her more screen time to really show her skills and to really show that, oh, this is her movie, this is her franchise or whatever. Um, and it was something that they could sell her in other movies, crossovers or whatever they wanted to do. But they didn't really do that, and I feel like she can sell it. She can sell a superhero franchise. She can be leading a superhero franchise. She really can. Um, After you gotta watch this movie, and you'll be like, oh, Dakota Johnson's parts weren't like what the issue was with this film. Um, and that being said, like I'm not gonna bash this movie like other critics and social media people, YouTubers did on here. It's a watchable film. Like I said, it reminded me a lot of a mid 2000s film. So it wasn't like a horrible movie, and I don't put it like on the worst movies of all time or the worst superhero films of all time. No, I'm not gonna do that because this film really wasn't that. What it was like a mid 2000s superhero film, which is fine in 2003, but in 2024, you gotta do something different because we've seen a lot already. And as a superhero movie fan, my whole life, I grew up watching these films. It's a big part of why I love movies. Um, we want something different, right? Like we want to see something because we've seen a lot already, and we've seen a lot of superhero characters. And someone like a B-list like Madam Web, she's not really well known. She's not Spider-Man. So you really have to like sell it. She's not Venom either. You know what I mean? So you really have to go all out and sell it. Like, why should we watch a Madam Web movie? A B-list superhero. So that's something that I you know, really feel like they didn't really do. But they cast Dakota Johnson, and that was enough for people to like get interested in and like, oh, okay, it's Dakota Johnson. I love Dakota Johnson. I know a lot of people love Dakota Johnson too. So they would check it out because it has her in it. So I think that they did a disservice with that part. Like they could have done something different with this Madam Web movie. They got people at the door when they cast Dakota Johnson, Sydney Sweeney, and the other cast, the other two girls. They were really good in it. And But the movie, like when you watch the film, it plays out like like it says, the villain in this film, he was more of like a side character. Like he only came in to do his thing, and that was it. You really didn't see like him flush out. He didn't really have like a lot of screen time to like really shine. A lot of them really didn't. Like I said, Dakota Johnson, she really didn't have enough screen time to really put her stamp on this movie, which I think is a shame because I think she would have sold it really well if like This film was more had she had more screen time. She had more scenes with her character. Um, but that being said, though, the best parts of this film was them four together. The three Spider Women and Madam Web. Like that was the best parts of these of this movie. Um, and some of the suspense, like the diner scene and the train scene, that was one of the shinier moments of this film as well. Um, but the screenplay is where this film like really got lost because they should have done a lot more. They could have done a lot more, and they should have done a lot more with this movie. Like with the characters and where it was going. Um, this picture right here with Madam Web and the three Spider Women, like this should have been the whole movie, right? Like they should have just done the whole movie like that. The first 30, 45 minutes, they could introduce Madam Web and her character, her origin, and then have the three super women, three Spider Women come out and say, yo, this guy's trying to kill me. Like, can you help us? And that could have been the movie, and I think that would have been a little bit better. I think they would have sold it a little bit more, had better flow to it. Because they tried to tell four origin stories in this film when the movie was called Madam Web, and that's hard to do, man. It's really hard to do. Like the film had to be at least 3 or 4 hours, and there was no way this film was going to be that long for that to work. So um, that's where I kind of had its struggles with. But it's a fun little B-list superhero film. If you're a fan of the superhero genre, and if you're a fan of Madam Web, then I think you'll find some reasons to enjoy the film. If you don't know anything about Madam Web and you're not like familiar with any of the characters, then you'll find a little something in this film as well. Um, I found myself like Dakota Johnson. I liked her in this role. I think she did good. As the lead superhero star in this film. I think she can carry a superhero franchise. I really do. I know a lot of people are hating on this film, saying how bad it was, and they're just totally bashing it. But if you really look at it, like Dakota Johnson can sell a superhero film. She can be the franchise of a superhero. She can be a face of a superhero franchise film. But they didn't do that in this movie. They really didn't. Like I don't know where her character goes from here. If they're gonna do like a Spider Woman movie or a Madam Web too, which I don't think they're gonna do that. Um, and I say that because at the end of the film, when they cast Dakota Johnson as Madam Web, they went with a younger, up and coming actress, not an older actress. So I was thinking like they were gonna switch up Madam Web, and in the movie, she was, an ER ambulance driver. That was her job, and she was discovering her powers. She was, clairvoyant. She can see the future. So I feel like they could have set her up as like a clairvoyant action superhero. Sort of learning her skills, learning how to fight, and seeing the future. They could have done like a movie like that, set her up for that, and do movies like a little franchise based off of that and her three Spider Women. They could have done something like that, but they didn't do that. They decided to go the comic book origin route, which as a comic book geek nerd, I can appreciate them sticking to the source material, but nah, they shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have put her in the wheelchair and the glasses. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know that Madam Web, she's like blind and she has she's in a wheelchair. Which if you saw the Spider-Man cartoon from the '90s, but she was an older like actress. She was older. The character was older, an older woman. So I don't think when you cast Dakota Johnson, you can't put her in a wheelchair and glasses because she's too young for that, and she can really like carry her own superhero franchise as like an action star, Madam Web type of thing. And now they put her in like a Professor X type of role, which I don't think they should have done because I think Dakota Johnson could have carried a as Madam Web could have carried a superhero franchise if they decided to do that route, which I think they should have done. Now, if you watch the film, you'll see what I mean. Like her in the wheelchair and glasses, it didn't work. It really didn't work. You know, um, so the ending of the movie there was my biggest issue. But other than that, I like Dakota Johnson as Madam Web. It's just the ending I would have done something a little different because I felt like they could have set this up to be like a an action franchise Madam Web type of thing where she's clairvoyant, she can fight, and just help out other superheroes and be like this force, the superhero force for the Spider Verse. Um, so with that being said, I gave the film a 6 out of 10. For that reason, it's not as bad as everybody says it is. It is watchable. Like I said, it reminded me a lot of a mid-2000s superhero film. So you're gonna get those vibes once you see the movie. You'll see what I mean. But yeah, the ending of the film, they left a lot on the cutting room floor. You can tell, um, which is a deal with these Sony and DC movies. Like Marvel does that sometimes, but Sony and DC do that a lot more. And you can tell with this film, they left a lot on the cutting room floor. And their decision at the end, I wouldn't have done it, because now they put Madam Web in the Professor X type of role, and they put Dakota Johnson in the type of role when Dakota Johnson could have been like, she could have been like a John Wick type of character with like clairvoyant abilities, If they really wanted to do that, they should have done that. But and I think that's cool, and I don't think any comic book geek superhero nerd would have a problem with that if they switched up Madam Web's character a little bit from being in a wheelchair and glasses to being like a badass action hero who can see the future and is clairvoyant and helps other superheroes out and just protects the world. So I think they should have done that route. And like I said, for that I give it a 6 out of 10. And I'm not gonna hate on it like all these other social media people. So please, I know this is the cool thing now, they hating on superhero films, especially female superhero films. So please don't do that. Please, like, really, go see the film first. Give your honest review, and don't review it out of just because it's a bad movie, or just because you didn't like it, or just because it's a female superhero movie, or just because Sony made it. Like, don't base it off of that. Give your own thoughts on the film. Like I said, it's 6 out of 10 for me. It's a mid superhero movie, which in 2024 doesn't really work. If it was 2003, you might have been like appreciating it a little bit more, so to speak, because I was like, oh, we never seen a Madam Web movie before, and it was cool. We're on this high of like, finally Hollywood's making superhero films, right? But it's 2024 now, and there's a lot more that we've seen, and there's a lot more that we want to see. So you gotta give us something different in 2024. But the standout for me was Dakota Johnson and the three Spider Women. They really sold the film for me, and I hope that we see these characters again, but in a different setting. Like I said, the thing that I didn't like that they put her in this box now. She's in a wheelchair and glasses, so she can't really carry a superhero franchise anymore. And I thought they missed the opportunity there. They could have really like sold her as one of those, like I said, a badass action hero who can see the future and is clairvoyant, and yeah. But that's my honest opinion of Madam Web. 6 out of 10. Let me know what y'all guys think. And yeah, don't go online and hate superhero films. As a lifelong superhero fan, I don't like seeing that because these films, they're hard to make, and we waited a really long time for Hollywood to actually make these kind of films and make them so for us fans. So any superhero film that we get, bad, good, really good, if we hate on them and we don't go see them, they're not going to make them anymore. They're not going to make any superhero films anymore. The MCU will go strong for only so long, but we got to see these movies. We got to, we can't hate on them just because of superhero films. If you don't like superhero films, that's fine, but don't go online and start this trend so people can hate on it. Don't do that. Superhero films aren't for anybody. As a Marvel geek, superhero fan, lifelong superhero fan, and I'm sure you are as well. Don't go hate on the films. Like, just don't hate on film just to hate on them. Don't go online and hate on films.